Christina, I think what people don't realize is the value of access, having access to women like you, like me, like these other women that know something about something that you can say, how can you help me? Do you know, can you refer? That's a big difference in business, because then you don't make a lot of wrong moves with the wrong people.
I am Christina Suter, and this is the Real Estate Breakthrough Show, where we talk about the reality of real estate, the mindset you need in order to face the reality of what it is, and tips and tricks to get you moving forward in investing. I am your host, Christina Suter. I have Desiree with me today, and as always, I am excited. I know I was told by my sister, stop using the word excited all the time, but I am excited. It is the truth. The truth is I am excited because I know Desiree and I know her relatively well. I consider her an associate in the field as well as a friend, and I'm excited to have her on the show. I'm excited for her to share with you. She has a new model, an unusual niche inside of real estate, and I specifically want her to tell you guys about it because I think it's not only was it a good idea previous to COVID, but I think it's a ripe idea and will find its true legs and success in the post-COVID world. So I hope that that's a good trailer and has everybody particularly interested in hearing what we have to say. But first, let me read her bio. So her company is called Hom Work, right? And that's exactly, you'll find more as to why that is a perfect title for Hom Work. But let me tell you a little bit about her. After leading a successful career in real estate since 1989 as a broker, investor, and creator of a seminar series entitled From Barbies and Bills to Riches in Real Estate, Desiree, a divorced mom with two sons, saw that very capable, intelligent women were letting outside forces stand in their way of making and pursuing their investment choices. Right, women? We are not doing that. This is the 2020s. We are so beyond that at this point. And since 2006, she started inviting women into her home for champagne brunches and had speakers speak on subjects such as getting out of your own way, destined for greatness, finding the diva in you, and ongoing. An empowered woman has developed into an exclusive global networking community and resource center for women professionals and entrepreneurs, supporting women who are starting, fixing, or building their business with web TV and radio shows, mastermind meetings, classes, teleclasses, seminars, coaching, and unprecedented live events. As a result of her affiliate associations, including those in South Africa, France, Canada, and the Philippines, the community has grown to over 53,000. Why don't you take it from there? Because I think you can fill in, like you have, let's hear some of your background. But at the same time, I really am excited to have women understand what you've created and how this is going to help us.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for even having me participate in your show, because that in itself is going to be able to get the word out bigger and better and so forth. So with that, my intention was real estate. And when I got involved in the women that are starting, fixing, and building their businesses and doing all the different events to empower them. But a couple of years ago, with the different turn and the recession and so forth, I realized that, a lot of women were single, empty nesters, divorced, widowed, and they wanted to stay in community. They wanted to be able to learn, and they also wanted to be able to invest in real estate in one capacity or another. And especially those who have invested previously, but had lost, like as I had lost during the recession. I lost over $8 million worth of real estate during that downturn, because it was leverage and it was a lot of properties, but it happened. So
it happens. It happens, honey. I have some pretty significant losses from that downturn too. Absolutely. Man, was that a tough time for me. And really just my level of commitment as an empowered woman in real estate. Where's my commitment? Am I going to stay with this or not?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that was the thought, because here I spent all these years putting this together for my retirement and for my son's college and so forth. And now, poof. And so many people walked away from it at that point. They thought, it was not a good thing. But I knew that real estate, it was just a matter of timing. And then I was guilty of leveraging as well. So if you leverage, because that's how I built my portfolio, was leveraging from one to the other, then that was the risk that we took. And so I thought, okay, now I've learned lessons learned.
Yes.
And in being able to start again and do it differently. And so I wanted to get back into it, but then I didn't have the resources at that point. at the time to be able to build up that type of portfolio. So I said, okay, collectively we can do it. So there was a couple of things that have happened. I was single myself. I was still an entrepreneur, and I was renting for a while, rented for a couple of years. Didn't like that feeling. Didn't like paying somebody else's mortgage, because you are paying a mortgage, whether it's your own or somebody else's when you pay rent.
That's right.
I said, let me just go back to basics, start the little condo and start over again. I got to sell it to carry and be able to work my way back up. But again, it's much faster, easier to do it with other people. And then I also enjoyed being around people. We spent all these years waiting for our kids to get out of the house. Once they got out of the house, it's like there was an empty house. It's like, okay, where's the movement that I told you not to have all these years? So I thought if I could find, and I left working from home as well, because that traffic, in California, there was a lot of time, there was a lot of extra time that just wasted socializing. So I said, if I could just live where I work where I live, anywhere in the world, that would be awesome. So I shared that desire with other women. They said, yes, count me in. So we said, let's acquire luxury style homes, because we wanted to be able to maintain a lifestyle that we wanted to own individually, and design them to be live work suites. So you can live there full-time, part-time, or as a drop-in. So, the first one, we didn't have a lot of capital to work with. So we leased optioned. So we thought, okay, we'll lease the option to buy to see how it works, how the concept works, and see how the property itself and the neighborhood that we wanted worked. And then our intention was to be able to raise capital once we had that traction, and to be able to buy the property. So we designed it where in every bedroom had a desk area, work area in it. And then the property also had an office space in it. And then it had a big family room. We created a classroom out of it. We put individual desks, we put a large screen TV, all the different things, even a small refrigerator, so they could give classes, retreats, seminars. People do masterminds, board meetings, things of that type in there. We also, it was a 3-car garage. One of the garages was separate. So we can convert that into a studio where we did have a green screen and lighting and audio and video equipment in there, so they could actually go in anytime, 24 hours. They had a code access to it and be able to record their videos and their podcasts and things of that type, which is perfect for the moms who had, could only do it like at 9 o'clock at night, or they can be there all night and it wasn't distracting anybody, and they had that peace and quiet. Plus it was a beautiful, it had beautiful windows and a space to work from. And then, so we said, with that, we want to create communities. I believe you create community, then those are your potential clients, and they can grow from there. So we had events, we have events. We had coffee and conversations on Wednesday mornings. We had Taco Tuesdays some months. We had second Sundays. We had different events to bring people into the space so they could see it, like it, and become memberships. So the program itself, Hom Work, is, again, co-working, co-living. And it's a combination. We say it's the Airbnb meets WeWork for women. See, women has been my target market. I had an empowerment for years. So women was my target market. And again, there's enough of them to support any program. And I think there's something free about women living together as opposed to having men in the property as well. And it's just something about connections, and there's a lot of pajama parties and things like that. So it's designed where they could come in for a weekend if they did a short term. So like one bedroom is for short terms because it's easier from access and the door and so forth. Then we had our first property was 4 bedrooms. So when it was a short term, then we were having 2 longer term program tenants, and we consider those like our anchor guest. And then you have one that uses as a part-time. So the 2 anchor tenants, so to speak, are there from anywhere from 3 months to 6 months. And they just stay to live here. And many times it's women that are in transition. Like one of them was death through a divorce, and she didn't know where she wanted to live, where she wanted to move, whether she wanted to buy or rent. So it gave her some breathing room to do that. Somebody else was starting a new business. Somebody else was coming in from out of town to San Diego, wanted to know if she'd like this area, or maybe it was LA and so forth. So it's a great place to be able to walk in without having to worry about any furniture, any utilities on, any utilities off, and things of that type. And then the ones that are second homes, like a home away from home, they come to the city maybe a couple times a month for maybe one was a pharmaceutical salesperson. So she'd come in for her territory and then she'd be able to leave and go home. So it was a great opportunity for things like that, besides the different events that we gave, which put women together. So what we've grown from there, we realized from there is that we were able to find a 12-unit, 12-door property in downtown San Diego recently. We're only a couple months in, where it was a boarding house, a rooming house. And we thought the idea of like, okay, the house is 1905, it has beautiful bones and characteristics, but it's been utilized for mostly rooming. They rent by the week for men that are fixed incomes. So the property is nice. They just remodeled it last year, but it needed to be glammed up. It needed to be designed. And by changing the market, then immediately we can double the revenue. Because again, these are people that are on fixed income. So you bring it to market value, and you've doubled it. So it's taking that same concept, live where you work where you live, anywhere in the world. So each room will have a desk work area, and they're small. Some of them are as small as 150 to 350 square feet, but they were to make them as cute as humanly possible. You have different themes, different glams. And then we also converted the attic to a co-working lounge. So we have a space up there with the attic, and we can move the desks for yoga. We also have a large screen TV up there. We have a great backyard area that we're building where we have a large screen there for work and for movie nights. We have a barbecue area, putting fountains. So we're just really utilizing that area. Then we have a front porch. Those old houses had these great front porches. So we're using it as a breakfast bar, so we're really making that really beautiful and white wicker. And so just utilizing the space. But the whole concept is that, it's there are many more advantages than being one alone on your own for work or for play. When you're traveling, either by yourself, you have to go to the bar or to a common area to connect with people. This way, you're able to go right into a co-working lounge or go into the kitchen area and be able to connect with people, make friends and clients, potential clients easier, because it's you just bring your suitcase, everything is furnished and provided for you. Less expensive because all your utilities, all your Wi-Fi, all your basic common goods like paper towels and toilet tissue. It's much safer. This property has 12 cameras, and we also have other cameras in our community where we have a gated community, so that you're feel there's safety. It's much better because you know where you're going to go. Sometimes even with the other properties, the Airbnbs and so forth, the property would be awesome, Christina, but when you go 2 doors away or a block away, you can't park your car. You don't want to park your car and walk. So that's something that we're really concerned about. Where can you walk in these neighborhoods? It's also, again, it's just depression, loneliness. I think a lot of people found out during the the quarantine, COVID, that they didn't want to be by themselves 100%, especially if you're working from home and so forth. And then you don't have that collaboration and that community of going to happy hours and things of that type. So people really found the value of being around other people, yet having their privacy, but having access to a community. And most importantly, not having that around you.
So I'm going to interrupt for a minute. So I know you have houses that you specifically have owned and organized, and they're part of, the actual sort of anchor houses that you guys have. But you guys have also looked to expand out, where you're really actually helping other people that maybe already have an environment that fits your guys' protocol, fits your guys' niche. So that way people who are actually currently members are not just using your anchor houses. They actually have access to multiple houses as well, that are generally people who are already Airbnb-ing. Do I have that right? And then they fit inside of your model, right? Which is, again, the home work, right? The live where you work and work where you live, and being part of this sort of community space. So tell us about that.
Yes, that's really important, because a lot of people especially women, have short-term rentals or extra guest rooms, guest houses, or vacation rentals that they would like a more discreet or more elite client, or guest to be part of, and they can.
Sure, a working professional woman who is looking for a place to be in town, who wants to be able to work and live where they are. Like you said, in medical sales is perfect. That's exactly the type of people that would be, or somebody who's like, gee, like you said, I just got divorced, or I just left my career and I'm looking to become a consultant, or and I need a space. I just need a space, a little space to call my own, to focus myself on in a female supportive community where there is still community space and there is still private space.
Yes, yes,
So
exactly.
go ahead. So I derailed you.
No. I'm complimented that you've got it. No, because exactly. For the thing is that because again, for business or for pleasure, and for women need that time. But it's nice to go someplace where you're welcomed. And what we do differently also is that when we do the marketing, it's a marketing platform, you meet the host. We have a video of the host there. So like, hi, my name is so-and-so, and I have a little dog named Spot, or I'm into yoga. That way, if you're like animals, and that's a icebreaker. If you like yoga, it's an icebreaker. So immediately not only the guest, but also the host feels like they're excited about the person that's coming in, because it's not just a total stranger. We have no idea. Because I did that. I tried that myself with the different bookings. And I was like, okay, who is this person? Gonna be a crazy person, or this person, who's this and why they're coming? You don't know what's walking through your door, because we were raised, don't let strangers into your house, and don't go in a stranger's home, and don't let strangers in your car, and don't go in a stranger's car. But now everything has changed. So this co-working, co-sharing, the concept is new to a lot of us. Maybe our younger ones that grew up with it, but for us, we have that in our minds. So it's a great relief, and they can get the same, compensation, and they actually I've had people become partners, people have become friends, lifelong friends, and it's a much nicer, warmer way of doing it. And so it gives them the extra revenue streams as well. And it could be full-time or part-time. Some people, one girl, she just goes to her boyfriend's every weekend. She just rents it out on weekends because she's like, why not? It pays for her rent. So that it's a way to be able to do it. So then, and it could be anywhere. That allows us to scale. That allows us to be able to have properties in London and South Africa and Jamaica and different places, because this allows us to be able to scale. Another thing is that we also now have introduced an option where someone who wants to do it, wants to get into that business, but really don't want to go through the time and the tribulations of learning themselves, we offer business in the box where they can come and coach with us. We have a program now where we actually have kind of memorialized our products, programs, and services, and how we do everything from what sheets and how to fold them and what menus and what they have in your cabinet. Because when you're starting, again, you maybe will buy too much or not buy enough, and you want the best experience for yourself and somebody else. So it's much better for them to actually go through a coaching program, not only just with the house, but with the business part of it, and they're able to drop into our network. That's which right. Is huge. So if you're someplace in another city, you want to do it, now you're able to drop into our community of women professionals and entrepreneurs, be one of our signature guest houses, and have that our guests have the credibility, and you know that you're going to a place that has a certain level of that's been maintained a certain way, but you know that you have a certain level of woman that's coming into your home. Again, your homes are your secret space, and so this is a great way to be able to protect them.
Now, that idea is particularly exciting to me because I feel like it will not only grow your network a lot, but it's also a really good opportunity for women who are already doing short-term rentals to be able to find a niche, a spot that maybe speaks to them more than just an Airbnb or just a vacation rental. Mm-hmm. A lot of the people who are part of your network, they are looking for something longer than just a weekend. Sure. They really are looking, the whole point is, it's home work, right? It's live where you work and work where you live. And so they're really looking for, like my Airbnbs that I have a few in Indianapolis, like we intentionally ask for a minimum of 20 nights because I'm specifically looking for people who are either traveling executives or people who are there for medical reasons who need a longer term stay. And that is the people I'm cultivating. And so as a woman who runs an Airbnb, it's like, that makes perfect sense to me. If I'm part of your community, I know that there is a certain level or a certain style of woman who wants to live a certain lifestyle who has become your members. And that gives me an opportunity to have those members stay at my existing Airbnb. If I can make my space fit your protocol, your procedures, which, was it business in a box? I think is what you call it, right?
Yes.
Right? Business in a box will teach me how to do that. So yeah. I just feel like it works both for Hom Work as an organization and the membership, but it also works for people who are already doing something, and it gives them an extra access.
Exactly.
Right? Exactly. Talk about the membership, because I think the membership is also hugely valuable, whether you're actually physically staying in a location or if you're just a member.
The membership, again, it's a community. It's a community and it's a business community. So what we do is we have weekly masterminds every Tuesday at 10 for 12 years. We meet and we go around and everybody shares again what they are working on, what they're doing. And my background is business administration, marketing, and I was an entrepreneur since I was 12 years old. So I know we always have enough, and through the connections and different resources to be able to work through what they're working on. And then we set ourselves different challenges and different goals. So it's great to be able to have something to connect in and just a place to go, especially again during COVID. But even now, people are used to that, having that little place they can go to and say, this is what I'm working on, this is what I need help with, and being able to get that. We also have, we do a podcast interview with them to present them to our community. So it's great to be promoted among like-minded women, but also your potential clients. And it's not a commercial. You're able to be interviewed and not only shared in our videos, but also being shared in our audio podcasts. And also those are archived on our website. So now you have it on our website. Another thing is on Wednesdays, we have coffee and conversation. And so this morning, we had one of our members, she spoke about, she's a contractor, have a construction company. So you're able to talk about your business in more depth. You have an hour, hour and a half, talk about your business more in depth and be able to get feedback and be able to get share with our community. And you also get the list of the people that express interest in that. So now you have the names and email addresses of people who wanted to know more about your topic, so you can follow up from there. So that's a great game changer in marketing. You're also able to utilize the events at the facilities for your events. Now, we used to have like once a month, you're able to use it for if you have an open house, if you want to have a meetup, if you want to have, quarterly, celebration or a launch party or a book party, book launch, some of that type, you're able to utilize our facilities at no additional charge. And then you're invited to our different special events like the coffee and conversations or our Taco Tuesdays or our different events, or sponsor an event. Say, for example, one of the ladies, she does the wines. She has wines. She's part of a wine, so she does wine tastings. Okay, great. So people come buy wine and they buy it, and she gets members from that way. So you're able to do certain things that we incorporate you. It's all about marketing and supporting women, professionals, and entrepreneurs. That's our heart. That's our soul. And it's only, it's less than $500 a year. So one podcast or one client, will be able to bring you that plus more for the most part. So it's just a great way of being able to be committed and be able to participate in other things.
Yeah, you have premier membership and you have free membership. So you've got both available for, depending upon how deep somebody really wants to utilize the community that you've created.
Yes. And then we also have a digital magazine. So the ones that do the coffee and conversation, their recording is implemented in our magazine. So they get, their magazine, and they get spotlight in their magazine, and they get certain products that we have for free in our magazine. That digital magazine we do every month, and that's distributed worldwide with other women's groups and organizations. So it's a great opportunity, and they can, like you mentioned, they can come in. There we go. That's our last magazine.
Yep, right there. Yep.
Yes. And we record a woman who's built $1 million business, and she shares her stories, and secrets to success. So it's another event that they can do, and they can tap in and have access. See, Christina, I think what people don't realize is the value of access, having access to women like you, like me, like these other women that know something about something that you can say, how can you help me? Do you know, can you for that? It's a big difference in business, because then you don't make a lot of wrong moves with the wrong people. You started this business model before COVID. I talked to you before COVID about the business model, and you started implementing it before COVID ever showed up. And COVID has changed the workforce model. Yeah. I don't know that everybody's going to work from home, but a much larger percentage of people are going to be, the millennials were already moving towards a work from home model. And now COVID has, what was it? Somebody said, I heard on a podcast, something like 750,000 CEOs have now across the world have now been trained into understanding how to do a workforce from home. Wow. That will never go back. Right? I mean, because they were CEOs at the time when their businesses were threatening to be shut down. The Bank of America sent, boxes, literally these encryption boxes, to all their call center people, and had people do the call centers from home. Yeah. But it was Bank of America, so everything was encrypted. And they could, Nationwide, I know somebody who worked in Nationwide, they mailed out 20,000 computers to their employees so that people could work from home.
like
Mhm.
literally 20,000 laptops that were
Mhm.
all on the same network,
Yeah,
right? So that nationwide could continue to work from home. There is literally that, like I said, 750,000 CEOs have now been trained to understand how to work with a workforce that can work from home, if
yeah,
not full-time, part-time for sure. That
yeah,
has changed the face. And again, maybe it'll only be 25% now work from home, but 25% in comparison to 5 or 10% previous to that, where there are jobs that were available, people working from home. This is why I think this idea is so brilliant and so ripe. Right? It was a good idea for millennials. Now it's a good idea for a whole section of the workforce. You and I maybe wouldn't have thought about it. We're slightly older women. We're not millennials, right? We may not have thought about, well, what does it mean to have a 9 to 5 job and work from home? And that I could work from home. I could be a mid-level or upper level executive and work from home completely successfully and still do all the traveling that would be required. My sister is one of these upper level executives. So I get to watch her life because of course I'm an entrepreneur and I've always, driven from job site to job site, or, worked from home for the last 20 years, right? I worked from home. But for
yeah,
those people who were executives like my sister, who then worked from home during COVID, right? Yeah, she's
yeah.
like the new guy that replaced her, because she's old enough, she retired. But the new guy who replaced her works from home and travels, does all the traveling she used to do, and only goes into the office, into Nationwide, a limit. Oh yeah, okay, so she works for Nationwide now. That has been broadcasted. I apologize. So, but the whole point is that
Yeah,
that now that even her replacement works from home, whereas
you're
before
absolutely,
she worked from the office. Right.
absolutely.
And so there is, I think, a ripeness to this community that you're developing, and the physical support of, yes, you could have this beautiful, thoughtfully laid out, community-based space where you have your room with your desk and your bed, right? And yet you can walk out your door when you're ready, and you
Mhm.
can join the kitchen, and you can be in the living room, and you can do the Friday night movies on the back or front porch, or, and there's an opportunity.
Mhm.
And again, it's, I understand you have male houses and female houses now, but originally it was all female houses.
Mhm.
But I just really think that it is an idea that has found its time.
And you're absolutely right. And then some of the percentages, and then I know there's all numbers out there. Before it was 33%, now it's 85% of remote workers. And what you pointed out is that it used to be the
Okay.
millennials or the nomads, digital nomads, the creatives. Now it's everybody from architects to,
Mhm.
everybody, even my doctor, and so, yeah, you're right. So that has changed everything. It's changed the whole market, it's changed the whole level of need. And people just realize that it's just much more effective and it's much more cost effective for businesses. So like you said, none of them will never go back to that because it makes sense. I have one friend, it's a small legal office, but he was paying $8,000 a month on coffee, he realized, in the midst of COVID, he had time to go through his receipts.
Right.
He says like he was paying thousands of dollars for parking and like that, all that's, all that's profit. So now he turns it over, he gives it to his team.
His
He's
team.
everybody
Good.
a raise. Like he said, gave everyone a computer, get paid for their internet, give them a raise, and everybody's happy. So
Everybody's happy.
is the way of the time. And people are now moving, especially now after COVID. They're so anxious to get out again. So they are going to say, I can take my computer and work from San Diego or work from, Hawaii or work from here or there just as easy as anywhere, as long as I have a computer. So why not? So it is. It's the time is just perfect. That was the good that came out of that.
At my sister's school, one of the students, the family owned property in upstate New York. And so since the school was all Zoom, they were in upstate New York, and their son was still in school in California
Yeah.
via Zoom.
Yes.
They
Yeah.
lived there for, I think, like the 18 months of COVID. They're like, yep, we're in upstate New York. Bye.
Yeah.
So the second half is you've been a real estate investor. We both have seen the downturn in 2007, 8, and 9. And we have done some version of recreating ourselves out of this downturn. And creativity, it takes creativity and problem solving, and it takes a sense of an inner metal as a human being to be in this game long term. It is a marathon. It is not a sprint. Real estate can support you long term, make you successful over decades worth of time, but it is definitely something that requires creativity and strength. So why don't you share with us a story? It can be from the downturn if you want, or it can be a recent story where you really like, okay, this was complicated, but I was creative. I worked it out, and this is what it required of me. And here's what I learned.
Boy, it's so many.
I know. After 30 years, I'm like, well, honey, which one do you want to hear about?
Only one?
You want to hear about the first one? You want to hear about the one in 2007, 8, and 9? There's a couple in there. You know.
There's a lot in there. I think, the good news about real estate, though, is like you covered, it's so many different aspects and different asset classes of real estate.
Yeah.
So when you commit to real estate because you enjoy real estate, there's so many different ways of being able to do it. Between, again, multi-residential to residential to fix and flips to nodes, I mean, to all those different arenas you can explore. So you'll never get bored and you'll never feel like trapped or locked. But each one of them does have their pros and cons, and they have their risks. And I say real estate is a big girl's game, so it's like, so if you can't brace yourself for some wins, more wins than losses.
More wins than losses. That's
and I don't refer to it as losses, lessons. If you can't brace yourself with the lessons that you're going to learn in the process, then perhaps it's not for you. Maybe you should be just join a syndication, invest in a syndication. You can, grow your wealth that way.
There are lots of ways.
Yeah, be totally hands off for it. So in the downturn, again, I had a lot of the properties for foreclosure, and then you hear all this different information about, to file wait until this point, file bankruptcy, and then you can delay it and delay it and delay it. And, I did that for a while, but I must have filed like 2 or 3 times in different people because they didn't do it correctly. And the time it was a really, really, really big mess. And I think this is one of the things that finally I did everything else with my primary residence, because I thought I was going to be able to keep on to that. And everyone kept saying, get rid of the other ones and qualify for your primary residence. And so I did that and finally got approved for a, what's it called? Reorganization. What's that called? Modification. And then I said, okay, great, that's done. But now I had gone through such a bath. I couldn't afford to stay in my own house at that time. So, but I had got a condo in Las Vegas. So I rented it out, and moved to like Las Vegas for a little bit until I was able to put more cash together. And of course, the day that they were moving in, one of the neighbors, one of the realtors in the area stopped by to say, hi, how are you? I guess they thought they didn't know they were moving in or out. They found they were moving in and it was rented. For some reason, they went and they did a check and they notified the bank that I was no longer living there. So now they just, they took away,
a loan modification.
Because I was not, as I said, I had my neighbors attest and that I was been there for 20 something years and so forth and so forth, but there's just that one little thing, that one little incident that just happened. So of course, lost a little modification, wind up, coming back and letting the house go and step by step. I mean, there's so many of them from that, even from, you're talking about the co-working, co-living space. People will say, okay, how is it getting people together? We had one incident where we had a young lady that was not a share. This person has to be willing to share, has to be a person that enjoys other people, one, and that feels sharing, and that is, I can't even think of the word that I asked for now. Inclusive, that, you vet. And we vet like their credit, you vet their employment, you vet their financials, but how do you vet an individual's personality? Because they always come in nice and bubbly and everything was fine. I love the events, I love the activities. But after a month or so, she decides she wants to go to bed earlier, so she wants everything quiet, or she wants this, or she wants to put a label on everything that's this is mine, this is mine, this is mine. That's not an all-inclusive type of community. You have your space, but you don't want to see posters on every fork, knife, and spoon for that. So that became, a problem, and able to easily move her out of this environment and be able to keep it pure and fun and whole for everybody else. So there's different things. Nothing goes without a learning. So I learned, okay, then you just have to really, now we have people join us for dinner. The first time we have them stay a short term, more than a week first, just to see if they can get a feel of the flow and see it. And then maybe no more than a month the first time. That way you don't have to wait 3 months or 6 months before you can, work them through the lease. So just different things you'll learn, that they have to be wonderful and comfortable with being around people. And maybe some people want to be, some people, not everybody's, part of that. Even for hosting the property, you have to learn that are you hospitality? Real estate is hospitality, and even more than real estate, especially the short-term rentals. Are you willing to serve people and to, accommodate them and want to accommodate them? The mindset should be, hey, these people are helping me afford this property, this investment, this legacy, and I will do all that I can to be able to accommodate them. So I learned that in every aspect of it, there's lessons we learned, and just take it, keep moving, and just don't make the same mistake twice.
Who are people that would be comfortable and feel confident inside of a shared space, and who are hostesses that are going to be welcoming, so that you have a good mix. I mean, just right there. I mean, that's what you described. Those are the last two lessons you described. I mean, you just went through like 5 different scenarios so quickly. I'm just picking up the last 2 lessons that you put forward, which is, that they're now homework is even better, being able to have a cohesive community that people are engaged in and happy with. So I'll pick up those 2, because it was a lesson in 2007, 8, and 9 was a lesson for all of us. It was definitely a lesson in being strong enough to choose to do what you talked about, which is clean up what you got, pick yourself up, and move yourself forward. Yes. That was definitely the theme of the 2008 to 2007, 2009 downturn, was definitely, clean yourself up, pick your backside up off the floor and either leave real estate or move forward move forward from where you are and learn your lessons, and be willing to be brave. Yes. I tell my daughter all the time, the definition of bravery is not the feeling of being brave. It's the feeling of being afraid and choosing it anyways. Yeah. So if you're being brave, you don't feel brave. You feel scared. That's the truth of bravery in the moment. Yeah. Right. And as a kid, it's important that she understands that actually you're being brave because you feel scared, that those things are, they're one and the same. Absolutely. So financial freedom, we have just talked about how, real estate can be, and my show has embedded in it the lessons that people have from when real estate has been difficult and real estate can be successful, right? Why use this sort of fickle career? I was now thinking I'm going to start comparing it to basketball or baseball, right? I mean, 404, hitting 4 out of 10 hits, somewhere between 4 and 5 out of 10 hits is considered a really good batting average. Right. Thank God our batting average in real estate is higher than the batting average in baseball. We definitely hit a lot more, either, first base, second base, or home runs than 4 out of 5 of our, 4 out of 10 of our investments. Right. I mean, thank goodness it's like 9 out of 10, maybe, maybe 18, maybe, I was gonna say 18 out of 20, but that's the same as 9 out of 10. But the point is that we have more successes than we have failures, but you do have failures in real estate. Do not be confused. You do have failures in real estate, and you will have to pick yourself up, and you will have to move forward. So why use real estate for your financial freedom?
Because one, something that you're able to learn, you're able to learn all about it and feel more knowledgeable, and therefore make better decisions. It's tangible. It's something that you need anyway. Again, you're going to be paying a mortgage, whether it's your own or somebody else's. So we all need to live somewhere. And as far as the investments, is this something that the numbers work? The numbers are, there's other things that may be faster and so forth. But one, you have more control over it. You have even in that downturn, we're able to either take properties and either rent them out or short-term with them, or just do other things. It's more flexibility, where if you lose in the stock, you lose in the stock. It's gone, it's gone, it's gone. You don't have to say, well, can I do this with it or do that with it or sell it? It's done. So I just feel I have more control over it. And you have the appreciation, you have the depreciation, you have the use of it. There's a lot of different things that the other things don't have. And where else can you have somebody else pay for your investment?
Your investment.
And the leverage that you can get. As long as you don't over leverage, but
don't over leverage. It's in one of my speeches. I have this example of a spreadsheet of, hey, if you do it this way, you're going to get a 25% return. That's how 2006 happened. Is this exact spreadsheet. They created the over leveraging, which created the downturn of 2007, 8, and 9. But yes, appropriate leveraging can be a beautiful thing.
Exactly. And
Truly.
even buying a note, if you're buying a $50,000 note, you need to give them $50,000 for the most part. I can buy a $50,000 house with $5,000 or less down, if that was possible. So where can you buy something? And then I can get someone to rent it or stay in there and pay that full mortgage for me for years to end. I mean, I don't know of many things that you can do that with, you know.
Love your description. Love your description. What does financial freedom mean to you? What will your life be like? Why are you working towards financial freedom? What will it look like when you hit financial freedom?
That I would still be doing what I'm doing as far as the women's community and the podcast and the magazine. I'm planning to travel and be like the Anthony Bourdain and interview women all over the world, from presidents of countries to the small women making beads in a village. So I will be able to do that, but I'll have that freedom and have that income to be able to do that without thinking twice about it. And that's what it means to me. That's my goal.
Oh man, I so want to see those interviews. You just make me want to cry.
Oh,
You really, seriously, that just makes me want to cry. Just the thought of women it's in the movie Titanic has this line in it. And it's something about a woman's heart runs deep, right? There's the grandmother and there's, I think it's the granddaughter. And there's this whole conversation about how she was on the Titanic, this beautiful young woman, the grandmother's on the Titanic, beautiful young woman, blah, 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 blah. And she goes, I never knew this story. And she's like, a woman's heart runs deep. We all have these profound stories we've lived with in our lives that we as women have stewarded our families and ourselves through. We have helped each other and we have helped our community and we have been helped through just some profound experiences. Just
absolutely.
You and I alone can compare those very quickly. And, just even COVID itself was a hard experience for me. And I had community that surrounded me and supported me and made it easier for me. I just, a woman's heart runs deep. And so therefore the interviews of whether she's a queen or whether she's doing beads, life, death, family, love happens to everybody. And we all have our stories of the profoundness of what it means to live through that. So, God, I want to see those interviews.
The idea of them sharing their stories and their challenges and their victories and their secrets to success, because every level of success is defined differently. And I love that line. I'm going to put that as my woman's heart runs deep.
Woman's heart runs deep.
I'm going to put that as my co-title because it does. And it's to me, that's the fuel for our souls, is to hear and to know somebody else has been through it and how they went through it. That's what makes it work.
Yeah. It helps heal.
Yeah.
Helps heal. Thank you very much. I so appreciate it. So if people want to get a hold of you because they either want to be one of your Airbnb hosts or your business in a box, if people want to donate to Hom Work or support you, I know you do have a few investors in there. I know that's not a big thing for you, but I do know that there are some people out there who might go, this is a really good idea. Maybe I need to invest, right? Whether it's in one of your new homes that you're bringing on board or the overhead of the company itself. So how do they get a hold of you?
They can email me, Desiree, Desiree, at Homwork, HOMWORK, no E. They can call 818-292-5559. I'm very accessible. I would love to hear what you're up to and hear anything I can do to support you. I'm glad to do that.
All right. Thank you so much. This is Christina Suter with Real Estate Breakthrough Show. Tune in each week for a podcast or an educational segment. You can go to YouTube, find quite a plethora of information there under Christina Suter. Of course, there's Facebook, there's Twitter, there's LinkedIn, there's Bigger Pockets. Also stuff there. I personally love my Tuesday tweets. I think you should sign up for those if you care about economy and knowing where we're going so that we don't you don't get hit as hard in another 2008-9 downturn. But of course, there's always our YouTube channel, our Roku channel, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and iTunes, of course. Christina Suter, Real Estate Breakthrough.